I was standing in the hotel lobby watching the snow fall harder than I'd seen in 20 years when I first noticed her. She was at the front desk with a suitcase at her feet, her shoulders tense as she spoke with the clerk. The young man behind the counter kept shaking his head, and I could see her frustration growing. The highway had closed an hour ago. Black ice and zero visibility. They were saying it might be morning before the plows could get through. I'd already accepted I'd be spending the night here, but this woman looked like she had somewhere important to be. "I'm sorry, ma'am," the clerk was saying as I approached. "We're completely booked. The storm has everyone stuck here." She pressed her fingers to her temple and closed her eyes. That's when I saw it. The slight trembling in her hands. The pallor beneath her makeup. Something was wrong beyond just a canceled trip. "Excuse me," I said, stepping closer. I couldn't help but overhear her. "I have a room with 2 beds. You're welcome to take the other one if you're comfortable with that." She turned to look at me, and I could see her weighing the offer. Weighing me. I was 63 years old with gray hair and reading glasses hanging from my shirt pocket. I probably looked like someone's grandfather because I was. "That's very kind," she said slowly, but I couldn't impose. "It's no musician." "I'm David. I'm a retired teacher from Ohio, heading home from visiting my daughter in Pennsylvania. I promise I'm harmless and I snore, but other than that, I'm decent company." A small smile touched her lips. "I'm Patricia. I was trying to get to Pittsburgh to see my son. He's in the hospital." My heart squeezed. "I'm sorry to hear that. Nothing too serious, I hope?" "He had surgery yesterday. He's going to be fine, but I just wanted to be there." Her voice cracked slightly on the last word. "Come on then," I said gently. "Let's get you settled. You can try calling him from the room." She hesitated only a moment longer before nodding. We rode the elevator in silence, and I could feel the worry radiating off her. When we got to the room, I immediately went to the far bed and set my bag down, giving her the one by the window. "The bathroom's all yours if you want to freshen up," I said. "I'm going to head down to the restaurant and grab some dinner. Can I bring you anything?" "I'm not really hungry," she said, but her voice was softer now, less guarded. "When's the last time you ate?" She paused. "Breakfast, I think." "Let me bring you something. Soup, maybe? Something warm?" She looked at me for a long moment, and I saw her eyes glisten. "That would be nice. Thank you." When I returned 45 minutes later with 2 containers of chicken soup and some bread, I found her sitting on the bed with her phone in her lap. "She'd been crying. I talked to Michael," she said. "My son. He says he's doing fine and not to worry." She laughed, but it was watery. As if that's possible. I handed her the soup and settled into the chair by the window. "I have 3 kids. Spent their whole lives telling myself not to worry. Never worked once. How do you manage it?" she asked. "The worry?" I thought about that as I ate my soup. Outside, the snow continued to fall, covering everything in white. I guess I realized at some point that worry doesn't protect them. Love does. Being there when they need you does. Teaching them what you can, and then trusting you did enough. I smiled. And prayer. Lots of prayer. We talked as we ate. She told me about Michael, her only child, who worked as a teacher himself. About how he'd put off the surgery for months because he didn't want to miss school. How stubborn he could be. How much like his father he was. "He passed away 6 years ago," she said quietly. "Car accident. It was sudden. I'm sorry," I said, and meant it. Michael looks so much like him. Same smile. Same terrible jokes. She shook her head. When they called to tell me about the surgery, all I could think was, I can't lose him too. I understood that fear. The kind that lives in your bones when you've already lost someone. My wife Ellen had died 3 years ago, cancer, And every time one of my kids got sick or had a problem, that same panic would rise up in my chest. You won't lose him, I said. He came through the surgery. He's going to be fine. I know. Logically, I know that. But the heart doesn't always listen to logic. No, I agreed. It doesn't. We spent the next few hours talking about our children, about teaching, about the lives we'd lived and the people we'd lost. She asked about Ellen, and I found myself telling stories I hadn't shared in months. Patricia laughed at the right moments, and her eyes grew soft at others dot around midnight. We both finally admitted we should probably try to sleep. As I settled into my bed, I heard her voice in the darkness. David? Yes, thank you. Not just for the room. For listening. For understanding. You're welcome, Patricia. In the morning, the snow had stopped and the plows had been through. We had breakfast together in the hotel restaurant, and I realized I didn't want to say goodbye. Not yet. Would you like some company on the drive to Pittsburgh? I asked. I'm heading that direction anyway, and it might be nice to have someone to talk to. Her smile was genuine now, reaching her eyes. I'd like that very much. We drove together through the white landscape, talking and laughing and sometimes just sitting in comfortable silence. When we reached the hospital, she asked if I'd come in with her. Michael was sitting up in bed when we arrived, color back in his cheeks. He looked so much like his mother when he smiled. Patricia hugged him carefully, mindful of his incision, and I saw the relief wash over her. Mom, he said, you didn't have to drive through a storm for me. Yes, I did, she said simply. Later, in the hallway, Patricia took my hand. I don't think I could have made it through last night without you. Sure you could have, I said. You're stronger than you think? Maybe, but I'm glad I didn't have to. We exchanged numbers before I left. I called her that evening to make sure everything was still going well. She called me 2 days later just to talk. A month later, we met for coffee. 6 months after that snowy night, Patricia came to Ohio to meet my children. A year later, I was standing at Michael's side as he walked his mother down the aisle. Sometimes I think about that night. How easily we could have remained strangers. How a simple act of kindness opened the door to something neither of us expected to find again. Love doesn't always arrive in the ways we imagine. Sometimes it comes during a snowstorm, when we're at our most vulnerable, when we need it most. Patricia likes to say I saved her that night. But the truth is, we saved each other.